Humberto Science. Today we're going to be looking at the introduction pages for chapter 20, and the first page that we're going to be doing is on page 427, chart 20-1. Now, this is an overview of basic verb forms used in conditional sentences. Okay? The conditional sentences express the idea of if this is possible, then this will be the result. These sentences can talk about real situations, facts, regularly occurring events, etc., and unreal situations, imaginary or impossible ones. Okay? Now, this lesson for today is being recorded just in case as a reinforcement for today's Zoom lesson from this morning. Okay? So please make sure that you can use this as a review for today's lessons. Okay? Now, if we look at chart 20-1, we have three different situations. And keep in mind, these three different situations are going to be looked at in different charts. For example, if the situations are real in the present and real in the future, we're going to see that on page 328, chart 20-2. If the situation is unreal in the present and future, this one here, we're going to see that on page 430. And if it's unreal in the past, we're going to see that on page 432, chart 20-4. So this is going to be chart 20-2, 20-3, 20-4. Okay? So this will help us, this chart here will help us with the introduction of all of those three charts that we're going to be looking at. 20-2, 20-3, and 20-4. This explains it a little bit better. Okay? The if clause. Okay? If the situation is real in the present or real in the future, the if clause is going to be in the simple present. Okay? And the result clause, if it's in the present, is going to have the simple form of the verb. If it's in the future, you're going to use will and the simple form of the verb. Look at the two examples. This is real in the present. If I have enough time, I watch TV every evening. So here, look at the verb in the if clause. Have is in the simple present. Look at the verb form in the result clause. Watch is in the simple form of the verb. If the situation is real in the future, the if clause is going to be in the simple present also. But the result clause, you're going to use will in the simple form. If I have enough time, I will watch TV later on tonight. Okay? So here, have is in the simple form in the if clause. And the result clause, you're going to use will plus the simple form of the verb. Okay? Now, if the situation is unreal in the present or future, the if clause verbs are going to be in the simple past. Okay? And the result clause would and the simple form of the verb. If I had enough time, I would watch TV now or later on. So look at the verb in the if clause. If I had, this is in the simple past. And look at the verbs in the result clause. Would and the simple form of the verb. If I had enough time, I would watch TV now or later on. That means I don't have enough time. So I won't watch TV now or later on. Okay? So it's unreal in the present future. If the situation is unreal in the past, the if clause is going to use the past perfect form, which is had and a past participle. The result clause is going to have would have and a past participle. So here would have and a past participle. So look at the unreal situation in the past. If I had had enough time, there's my past perfect right there. If I had had enough time, I would have watched TV yesterday. So had, and the past participle gives me past perfect. In the result clause, I have would have, and the past participle. Watched. Now using the information from here, for all of this, okay? For all of this, right here, we're going to use this information to complete exercise 2. Okay? On exercise 2 it says write R, which is real, next to the sentences that express a real condition, and U next to the sentence that express an unreal condition. Look at the verb forms in the if clause and the result clause to determine if it's real or unreal. Okay? So using this information, if the verbs in the if clause are in the simple present and in the simple form in the result clause, or will in the simple form, that means that the situation is real in the present or future. If the verbs in the if clause are in the simple past, and the result clause would in the simple form, or past perfect and would have in the past participle in the result clause, they're going to be unreal situations. So if we look at number 1, if I have time on weekends, I volunteer at an animal shelter. Look at the verb, simple present, in the if clause. Look at the verb in the result clause, volunteer, simple form. So this is going to be real. So put an R. Look at number 2. If I have time, I will volunteer next weekend. Look at the verb in the if clause, simple present. Look at the verb in the result clause, will volunteer. So you say, okay, this is going to be real in the future. Will and then volunteer. So it's real in the future, so put an R. Look at number 3. If I had time, I would volunteer next weekend. So here, look at the verb in the if clause. Had, simple past. The result clause, would volunteer. Would in the simple form. So this is going to be unreal in the present future. So you put a U. Number 4. If I had had time, I would have volunteered last weekend. Look at the verb form in the if clause. Had, past perfect. Would have and volunteered, past participle. Would have and past participle. So this is going to be unreal in the past. Okay. So using that same information from chart 20-1, complete the sentences with the words in the box. Would do, will do, and would have done. Look at the verb forms in the if clause to determine what the verb forms will be in the result clause. They're going to be real in the present, unreal in the present future, or unreal in the past. Okay? So go ahead and do number 2, 1, 2, and 3. I'll check in a minute. Okay, so here, Rita believes in hard work and wants her children to work hard. She always tells them, if you work hard every day, you will do well. So if you work is in the simple present, so the result clause, this is going to be will do, real in the future. Scott is smart, but he doesn't work very hard. As a result, he is not good at his job. His coworkers often tell him, if you worked hard every day, you blank. So here, worked is in the simple past. So the result clause is going to be would and the simple form of the verb. You would do well. Number 3. Mark planned to study hard for a test yesterday, but some friends called and he decided to go out with them. He didn't study at all, and he didn't do well on his test the next day. His teacher told him, if you had studied yesterday, you, now look at the if clause verbs, had studied. This is past perfect. So here you're going to use would have and the past participle. You would have done well on the test. So again, it's important to look at the results from the if clause to determine what the results or what verb forms will be in the result clause. Okay, and vice versa. If you don't have the if clause, but you have the result clause verbs, it's important to look at that also, because that will tell you if it's real in the present, unreal in the present future, or unreal in the past. Okay. So we go to page 428. Let's look at exercise 4. Which sentence expresses a habitual meaning? Which sentence or sentences express a future meaning? So you look at this. Habitual meaning present. Future meaning it will happen. So look at this. If the baby wakes up in the middle of the night, she'll cry. So here, look at the if clause. Wakes. It's in the simple present. And then look at the result clause. Will cry. So this is going to be future. Number 2. If the baby wakes up in the middle of the night, she cries. So here, baby, if the baby wakes up, this is going to be in the simple present. And then look at the verb in the result clause. She cries. Okay, so here that is also in the simple present. So this is going to be habitual. This is what she does every time she cries. She wakes up, she cries. And number 3, should the baby wake up in the middle of the night, she'll cry. So here, should the baby wake up in the middle of the night, she'll cry. Again, look at the result clause, will cry. So it's okay, that's going to be future. So number 1 is future, number 2 is habitual, number 3 is future. So we look at chart 20-2, expressing real conditions in the present future. Okay? So here is, if you look at example A, if I don't eat breakfast, I always get hungry during class. B, if I don't eat breakfast tomorrow morning, I will get hungry during class. 3, water freezes if the temperature reaches 32 degrees Fahrenheit. And D, water will freeze if the temperature reaches 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? So when you're expressing real conditions in the present or future, okay, here, let's look at the explanation. In conditional sentences that express real or true factual ideas in the present or future, the simple present, not the simple future, is used in the if clause. Okay? So here, the simple present. If I eat, freezes, okay, or reaches and reaches, I'm sorry. So here you say the result clause has various verb forms. A result clause can be, first one, a simple present to express a habitual activity or situation, something that happens frequently. It's habitual. We learned that in level 1. And you use Simple present for things that are repeated actions or habitual activities. Or the simple future to express a particular activity or situation in the future. Like in letter B, will get. Or the simple present or simple future to express an established, predictable fact or general truth. If it's an established, predictable fact or general truth, you can use either C or D. Water freezes if the temperature reaches 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Water will freeze if the temperature reaches 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? So the result clause has the various possible forms. Okay? Look at E. If it rains, we should stay home. If it rains, I might decide to stay home. If it rains, we can't go. If it rains, we're going to stay home. The result clause can also include modals and phrasal modals such as should, might, can, and be going to, as in letter E. Okay? And these just add a little bit more emphasis. Okay? Recommendations or suggestions. Letter F. If anyone calls, please take a message. An imperative verb can be used in the result clause as in F. Okay? So here, if anyone calls, that's your if clause. But look at the verb form in the result clause. Take, that's an imperative verb. Please take a message. If anyone should call, please take a message. Sometimes should is used in an if clause, as in G. It indicates a little bit more uncertainty than the use of the simple present. But basically the meaning of examples F and G is the same. So here, if anyone calls, has the same meaning as anyone should call. However, there's more uncertainty with that if clause. I'm not expecting anyone to call, but just in case anyone should call, if by chance they should call. See? So these two have the same meaning. Now we look at exercise 5. Decide if each sentence expresses a habitual or future meaning. Look at number 1AB, 2AB, 3AB, and read each one and just encircle either habitual or future. We'll check in a minute. And we also have number 5 and 6 on the next page. Okay, let's look at number 1. If it rains, the streets get wet. So look at the if clause. The verb is in the simple present. So this is going to be habitual. If it rains, the streets will get wet. Look at the result clause, will, and the simple form of the verb. So this is going to be future. Number 2A. If it should rain, we'll take the bus. Okay, we will take the bus. This is going to be future. B, if it rains, we take the bus. Here, simple present, simple form, habitual. This is what you do every time it rains, you take the bus. Number 3, if the meetings run late, I leave early. Okay, so here, there's the if clause. Run is in the simple present. Leave is in the simple form. This is going to be habitual. B, should the meetings run late, I will leave early. Look at the result clause. Will and the simple form of the verb is going to be future. So 1A is habitual, 1B future, 2A future, 2B habitual, 3A habitual, 3B future. Now, let's look at exercise 6. Choose the correct verb form for the result clauses. In some cases, both are correct. Remember, like back in here, okay, the simple present or the simple future can be used to express an established, predictable fact or general truth. So if it's established or predictable fact or general truth, you can use both. Okay? The present tense and the future tense. Okay? So we look at numbers 1 through 6. Remember, 5 and 6 are on page 428. Okay? 429, I'm sorry. So, if there is a bike race, the road blank closed. Okay, so is this a habitual thing? Is this an established, predictable result? Okay, or general truth? In this particular case, if there is a bike race, the road is closed and the road will be closed. They always close the road. Okay, they always close the road. That's established. That's a general truth. And the road will be closed. That's also a general truth. So you can use both for number 1. Number 2. If I find out the answer, I blank you know. Okay? If I find out the answer, now that means I don't know the answer right now. Because if I find out the answer, future, I will let you know. Number 3, if you run up a hill, your heart blank fast. And again, here, this is established fact or general truth. So you can use both. If you run up a hill, your heart beats or will beat fast. That's general truth. That's established. Number 4. If I have extra time, I blank students in math. So again, this is an established, predictable fact or general truth. You can use both. I tutor and I am going to tutor students in math. Number 5. If it should rain tomorrow, we blank our plans. Okay, and this one might change and will change, both, depending on how much rain. We might change our plan. If it's a little rain, we might. If it's a heavy downpour, a lot of rain, we will change our plans. Number 6, if my cell phone battery goes dead, I blank it. So this will only be, we'll recharge it. Because you're not doing it right now. See, you will do it in the future. I will recharge it. Okay? We're going to skip exercise 7 and 8. Let's go to the warm-up on the bottom of page 429 to exercise 9. Choose the correct completions. Now this is a warm-up for chart 20-3. unreal, contrary to fact, in the present or in the future. Okay? All right. Now, if you remember back from chart 20-1, if it's unreal in the present and future, the verb form is going to be simple past. And the result clause is going to use would in the simple form of the verb. Okay? So look at number 1. If Tom were a teacher, simple past, he would teach law. Would and the simple form of the verb. Okay? So Tom isn't a teacher. B, Tom doesn't teach law. Because Tom is not a teacher. Number 2, if he had enough money for tuition, he would be in graduate school. Look at the if clause verb. Had, simple past. Look at the result clause. Would and the simple form of the verb. So this is unreal in the present future. He doesn't have enough money. He isn't in graduate school. Okay? So let's go to page 430, chart 20-3. On chart 20-3, this is unreal, contrary to fact in the present or future. There's a very important footnote here, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to look at in a minute. Okay? It goes against everything that we've been taught with in grammar as far as verb form usage for first, second, third person, singular and plural. Okay, with the verb be. But let's look at A, B, and C. If I taught this class, I wouldn't give tests. B, if he were here right now, he would help us. And C, if I were you, I would accept their invitation. So here you say, if I taught this class, I wouldn't give tests. Look at taught, simple past. Look at the result clause, would, and the simple form of the verb, but it's negative, wouldn't give. In A, actually, I don't teach this class. Look at B. If he were here right now, he would help us. Were is the verb be in the simple past. And then in the result clause, would and the simple form of the verb would help. Actually, he is not here right now. In C, if I were you, I would accept their invitation. Were is in the simple form of the verb be. Simple past of the verb be. Would accept, would, and the simple form of the verb in the result clause. Actually, I am not you. Now, if you notice, in B and C, we're not using was, we're using were. If he were here, and if I were you. Were is used for both singular and plural subjects. Was, with I, he, she, and it, is sometimes used in very informal speech. If I was you, I'd accept their invitation. But see, this being informal and very informal, these are conditional sentences. So we're going to use were. okay? For conditional sentences, unreal, contrary to fact, okay? In the present future. We use were instead of was for I, for he, she, and it, okay? Now look at D and E. If I had enough money, I would buy a car. When you use would in the result clause, when followed by the simple form of the verb, that means you only want to buy a car. That's the only option. Look at E. If I had enough money, I could buy a car. When you use could in the result clause with the simple form of the verb, that means you have other possibilities, other options. You could buy a house, you could buy a motorcycle, you could go on a vacation. Okay? But with D, when you're using would, there's only one option. In D, the speaker wants a car but doesn't have enough money. Would expresses desired or predictable results. That's the result, or the predictable result, or the predictable desire. He wants a car. In E, the speaker is expressing one possible result. Could would be able to, could expresses possible options, more than one. Instead of just buying a car, buying a house, buying a motorcycle, buying a package for a 1-month vacation to Europe. Okay? So we're using that information, and again, remember, ladies and gentlemen, when we're talking about the unreal in the present future, the if clause is going to be in the simple past, and the result clause is going to use would and the simple form of the verb. Okay? So we look at exercise 10. On exercise 10, it says, if I had more money, I would buy a new car. So look at the if clause. Had, simple past, would buy, would, and the simple form of the verb. Is that real or unreal? This is unreal. B, if I have enough money, I will buy a car. Look at the verb in the if clause. Have, simple present. Will, and the simple form of the verb. So you say, okay, wait a minute, that's real in the present future. So this is going to be real. Go ahead and do number 2, A and B, 3, A and B. Okay, so number 2. If the shirts are on sale, I will get a few. Look at the verb in the if clause. Simple present. Look at the verb in the result clause. Will get. So you say, okay, that's going to be real because it's real in the future. B, if the shirt were on sale, I would get a few. So actually here it should be shirts. If the shirts were on sale, I would get a few. So look at the verb in the if clause. Were, simple past. Would get, would, and the simple form of the verb. This is unreal in the present future. 3A. If you were a teacher, you could help me. Look at the verb in the if clause. Were, simple past. Could help. It says, okay, could, and the simple form of the verb. You say, this is unreal in the present future. If you are a teacher, you can help me. Are is in the simple present. Can help. Here, so okay, this is in the present tense. So this is real. Okay? Now look at exercise 11. Look at the pictures. There's Grandpa with flowers. There are your friends with all those shopping bags. And there's this little boy. Look at his facial expression with his vegetables. Okay? So look at number 1. Grandpa is allergic to flowers. So we choose the correct completion, is. Then we make a sentence with the given words. So here are the given words. If Grandpa be allergic to flowers, he bring Grandma flowers more often. So you say, okay, since Grandpa is allergic to flowers, we're going to do contrary to fact. If Grandpa weren't, there's your verb be, allergic to flowers, comma, the result clause, he would bring, there's your would and the simple form of the verb, Grandma flowers more often. Let's do number 2. Your roommates blank a lot of time shopping. So here, look at all those shopping bags. So your roommates spend or don't spend a lot of time shopping? It's going to be spend. So here, contrary to fact, if they did not spend so much time shopping, they would save a lot of money. Okay? So again, if they didn't spend, there's your simple past in the if clause, so much time shopping, comma, they, in the result clause, would save a lot of money. Go ahead and do number 3. This, choose a correct answer and then the sentence. Okay, if we look at the boy, look at his face. The boy doesn't like peas. So, if the boy liked, there's your simple past, peas, comma, he would eat them. The fact is, he doesn't like them. Again, if the boy liked, there's your past tense, peas, he would eat them. Okay? Now look at exercise 12. Complete the sentences with the verbs in parentheses. Okay? Here, the verbs in parentheses, you have to determine by looking at the if clause, or over here, the if clauses are over here. If they will be in the simple present, will in the simple form, or simple past, and would in the simple form, or could in the simple form of the verb. Okay? So we look at number 1a. If I have enough apples, look at this. Here's my verb in the if clause, simple present. If I have enough apples, I blank an apple pie this afternoon. That's future. I will bake an apple pie this afternoon. B, if I had enough apples, look at that verb, simple past. So you say, if I had enough apples, I would bake an apple pie, result clause, or could bake an apple pie. You say would bake if it's only the apple pie you have in mind. If you say could bake if you have other options. You might say I could bake apple empanadas, or I could bake apple turnovers, okay, other desserts, okay. Look at number 2, A and B. I will fix your bike. Now here, you look at, this is the result clause. Yes, and you can put it first. I will fix your bike. Here's will in the simple form of the verb. If I blank the right screwdriver. Here's my if clause. So if this is will in the simple form of the verb, this is going to be in the simple present. If I have the right screwdriver. B, I would fix your bike if I blank the right screwdriver. Look at the result clause. Would in the simple form of the verb. So you say, I would fix your bike if I had, simple past, the right screwdriver. Go ahead and do number 3 and 4, A and B. Okay, number 3. I blank to a movie tonight if I don't have any homework to do. Look at here. Don't have. This is going to be present tense. So you say, okay, future because this is tonight. I will go to a movie tonight if I don't have any homework to do. Okay, and then look at B. I blank to a movie tonight if I didn't have any homework to do. Didn't is in the simple past. It's negative. So it's okay, this is going to be unreal in the past. Okay, unreal in the present future. So you say I would go. You can also say I could go to a movie tonight if I didn't have any homework to do. Okay, because the if clause is in the simple past. So you're going to say would go or could go. Number 4. I turn off my phone when I blank in meetings. This is habitual. So I turn off my phone when I am in meetings. This is turn off. This is something you do habitually. Okay? So it's a present. This is going to be simple form. When I am in meetings. B. I would turn on my phone if I blank in a meeting right now. This is contrary to fact. Okay? So I would turn on, would and turn, would in the simple form of the verb in the result clause, if I were not in a meeting right now. This is your if clause. If I were not, simple past negative, if I were not or weren't in a meeting right now. Okay? Okay. We're not going to do 13, but let's go into 14. And 14, it goes into page 432. Complete the sentences with the verbs in parentheses. Science and nature. Now remember that we talked about if it is an established predictable fact or general truth, you can use either the simple present or simple past in the result clause. Okay? So let's look at number 1. Oil floats on water. If you pour oil on water, it blank. It will float or it floats. Both. So that's a general truth. It's a predictable result. So you can use both. It floats or it will float. Now go ahead and do number 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'll give you the answers so that you can check in a minute. Okay, let's look at number 2. If there were no trees on earth, there would not be enough oxygen. Life as we know it would not exist. Again, if there were no trees on earth, there would not be enough oxygen. Life as we know it would not exist. Number 3, if you boil water, it will disappear into the atmosphere as vapor. And it disappears into the atmosphere as vapor, both, because that's a general established truth, a predictable result. When you boil water, it disappears into vapor. Okay? And it will disappear. Number 4, many animals hibernate in the winter. Hibernate means sleep. One reason is because of food. If animals did not hibernate, they would need to find food at a time when food is scarce. If animals did not hibernate, that's in the simple past, they would need to find food at a time when food is scarce. Would and then need. So you say this is unreal, contrary to fact, unreal in the present future. Okay? Number 5. If people had paws, these are paws right here. If people had paws instead of hands with fingers and opposable thumbs, the machines we use in everyday life would have to be constructed very differently. We wouldn't be able to turn knobs, push small buttons, or hold tools and utensils securely. If people had paws instead of hands with fingers and opposable thumbs. The machines we use in everyday life would have to be constructed very carefully. We would not be able to turn knobs, push small buttons, or hold tools and utensils securely. Okay? Knobs, like in doorknobs, you turn them. Push small buttons, the little button in a doorknob to lock the door and unlock it. Okay? And hold tools and utensils securely. Like your cell phone, you wouldn't be able to hold it securely. Okay? Your pencil, your spoon or fork to eat. Okay? All right. Let's look at exercise 15. On exercise 15, this is a warm-up or introduction for unreal, contrary to fact in the past. Now this is chart 20-4. If you go back to page 427, this is the last section of chart 20-1. Unreal in the past. The if clause is going to be in the past perfect. The result clause is going to have would have and the past participle. So look at example A. If you had told me about the problem, I would have helped you. In A, actually, you did not tell me about it. Look at the if clause. Had told, past perfect. Look at the result clause. Would have, past participle, helped. B. If they had studied, they would have passed the exam. Had studied, past perfect. Would have in the past participle. A, actually, they did not study. Therefore, they failed the exam. And C. If I hadn't slipped on the stairs, I wouldn't have broken my arm. Actually, I slipped on the stairs, I broke my arm. Look at the if clause. Had not slipped, past perfect. Look at the result clause. Would have, past participle, broken. Note, the auxiliary verbs are often reduced in speech. If you'd have told me, or I would have helped you, or I'd have helped you. Okay? Just for your information. Don't use it that way because it's very informal. Letter D. If I had enough money, I would have bought a car. If I had had enough money, I would have bought a car. So here, look at the if clause. Had, past perfect. Would have bought, that's your result clause. Would have, and then the past participle. Would expresses a desired or predictable result. You only want to buy a car. E. If I had had enough money, I could have bought a car. Again, if clause, past perfect. Result clause, could have bought. That's a past participle. Could expresses possible option. Could have bought means would have been able to buy. Okay? So would and could can be used in the result clause, except that with would, you're only thinking of one option or one result. With could, you're thinking of more than one option. I could have bought a car, I could have bought a motorcycle, I could have bought a house, I could have bought a package to a vacation to Asia. Okay? So let's look at exercise 16. In exercise 16, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to write the correct form of the verb in parentheses, then complete the sentence with a phrase from the right. We have numbers 1 through 6, A through F. So here, and these are going to be past perfects, okay, in the if clauses. If Rhea had, what's the past participle of go? Gone to the hospital, she, letter D, would have gotten better more quickly. Let's do number 2. If Tim hadn't, what's the past participle of lose? Lost his passport, he, letter F, wouldn't have missed the flight home. Go ahead and do number 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember, this has to be a past participle in the if clause because it's past perfect. Okay? Okay, number 3. If you hadn't, past participle of stay, it's regular verb, stayed, ed, out all night, you, letter A, wouldn't have slept all day. Number 4. If you had, what's the past participle of help? Helped with ed, regular verb. If you had helped us move, we would have finished already, letter C. Number 5. If the waiter had, what's the past participle of be? Been friendlier, I, letter B, would have left a bigger tip. Number 6. If we had, what's the past participle of have? Had. If we had chains in the car, just like in the picture, we, letter F, letter E, wouldn't have gotten stuck in the snow. Because you use chains for the snow. Wouldn't have gotten stuck in the snow. Letter E. All right. So if we look at exercise 17, complete the sentences with past conditionals. That means that your if clause is going to be in the past perfect, and the result clause is going to use would, if it's negative, wouldn't, and then have and the past participle. Getting lost. You're on a trip, you're trying to use a GPS. So you say, if the map on my phone had not been, because this is past perfect, this is your if clause. If the map of my phone had not been wrong, we would not have gotten lost. Remember, past perfect, so we say had, negative, not, and then the past participle of be, been, wrong. We, and then would, not, wouldn't, have, and the past participle of get, gotten lost. Let's do number 2. If you had followed my directions, so here, because this is had followed, this means past perfect. My directions, we would not have spent, with a T, the last 2 hours driving around. If you had followed my directions, we would not have spent, would have, negative, wouldn't have spent, and then past participle spent the last 2 hours driving around. Do number 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll check our answers. Number 3. If I had not been so tired, I would have paid closer attention. If I had not been so tired, I would have paid closer attention. Past perfect, would have, past participle. Number 4. If clause, past perfect. If we had rented a car with GPS, we would have found the hotel by now. would have in the past participle of find. If we had rented, past perfect, a car with GPS, we would have found the hotel by now. Contrary to fact, we didn't rent a car with GPS. Number 5, if you had listened to me, past perfect, had listened, we would not have driven around in circles. If you, past perfect, had listened to me, we would not have, and then the past participle, driven around in circles. Number 6, if we had taken the train, we would have been, past participle of be, would have been there an hour ago. If we had taken the train, we would have been there an hour ago. Fact is, we didn't take the train. So we're not there yet. Okay? We're going to skip 18 and 19. Let's go to exercise 20 on page 434. Answer the questions with yes or no. Okay? And then you're going to use either present or past. If I had gone to the movie with you, I would have enjoyed it. Now look at the if clause. Had gone. Past perfect. Result clause. Would have enjoyed. Would have in the past participle. So this is unreal. Did I go with you? No. Did I enjoy the movie? No. Is the meaning present or past? Past. Let's do number 2 together. If I had brought my ID, I could have gotten a student discount. Look at the if clause. Have brought. Past perfect. The result clause. Could have gotten. Could have, and then the past participle. Did I bring my ID? No. Did I get a discount? No. Is the meaning present or past? Past. Go ahead and do the same for number 3 through 7. Number 3, if Dad had his ID, he would get a senior citizen. Look at the if clause. Had. Look at the result clause. Would get. Does Dad have his ID? No. Is he going to get a discount? No. Is the meaning present or past? Present because it's unreal in the present. Okay? Because this isn't a simple past. This is only would and get. So it's unreal in the present. Number 4. If I felt better, I would go to work. Okay? Do I feel better? No. Am I going to work? No. Is the meaning present or past? If I felt better, simple past. And then would go. Would in the simple form in the result clause. So this is going to be present. I don't feel better right now. It's unreal in the present future. Number 5. If I didn't have any friends, I would be lonely. Am I lonely? No. Do I have friends? Yes. Is the meaning present or past? Present, because I have friends now. Jackson would have made it to class on time this morning if the bus hadn't been late. Look at the result clause. Would have, past participle made. The if clause, hadn't been, past perfect. Was the bus late? Yes. Did Jackson make it to class on time? No. Is the meaning present or past? Past. If I had more time, I would stay longer and talk. Do I have more time? No. Will I stay longer? No. Is the meaning present or past? Present. It means I don't have time right now. All right. Let's look at exercise 21. On exercise 21, it says underline the clause that expresses a condition. Write R if the condition is a real condition. Write U if the condition is unreal. Then decide if the sentence refers to present or future or past time. Here, number 1A. If the weather is warm, here's the clause that expresses the condition. We'll eat outdoors. So this is real, because the verb is in the simple present, and we will eat, will, and the verb in the simple form. So it's real, and this is in the present future. B, if the weather were warm, we would eat outdoors. My clause that expresses a condition, if the weather were warm. Look at the if clause, were, simple past. Look at the result clause, would eat, would in the simple form. So this is unreal in the present future. C, if the weather had been warm, we would have eaten outdoors. Look at the if clause, had been, past perfect. Would have, in the past participle, eaten. So this is unreal in the past. Number 2. If I had more money, I would work less. Look at the verb in the if clause. Had, simple past. And then look at the result clause, would, and the simple form of the verb. So here, this is going to be unreal. And my clause, if I had more money. And then this is going to be unreal in the present future. 2B. If I had had more money, I would have worked less. Look at the if clause. Had, past perfect. Would have and work, past participle in the result clause. So this is unreal in the past. And my clause, if I had had more money. Do number 3, A, B, C. All right. Number 3. If I don't have to work, I can visit you. Okay, look at the verb here. Present, and in the result clause, simple form. So this is real. Okay. And the result, if I don't have to work, is the clause that implies the condition. So if it's real, it's going to be present future. B, if I hadn't had to work, I could have visited you. Look at the if clause. Hadn't had, past perfect. Could have visited, past participle. So my clause, if I hadn't had to work, you underline that. This is unreal in the past. C. If I didn't have to work, I could visit you. So look at the if clause verb. Auxiliaries in the simple past. Then could visit, simple form. So my clause, if I didn't have to work. Underline that. This is unreal in the present future. Okay? Look at exercise 22. Draw a line to each correct completion. Number 1, if I have enough money, I will buy. Look at the if clause, simple present. So here, I will, and the simple form of the verb, I will buy. That's real in the present future. B, if I had enough money, simple past. So you say, okay, I would buy it. Would in the simple form of the verb. Letter C. If I had had enough money, I would have bought it. Past perfect, would have, and the past participle. Let's do number 2 together. If they arrive early, arrive, simple present. So I need to find the result clause that will give me either present or future. If they arrive early, they will call. Will in the simple form of the verb. So if they arrive early, they will call. B. If they arrived early. Okay? If they arrived early, here look at the verb. Simple past. Okay? So here you're going to find would or could in the simple form of the verb in the result clause. They would call. So if they arrived early, they would call. Letter C. If they had arrived early, past perfect. If they had arrived early, they would have called. Would have in the past participle. Do number 3, 4, and 5. We'll check in a minute. All right. If he had needed help, past perfect. If he had needed help, he would have asked. B. If he needs help, simple present, he will ask. And C. If he needed help, simple past, he would ask. Number 4. I would buy the coat, would buy. This is the result clause, would, and the simple form of the verb. If it fit. Simple past. Fit is one of those irregular verbs. I would have bought the coat. Would have in the past participle. If it, past perfect, had fit. I will buy the coat if it fits. Present. 5a. We will stop by if we have extra time. Simple present. Because this is will and the verb in the simple form. So you're going to say, okay, if we have extra time, simple present. We would have stopped by, would have in the past participle, if we, past perfect, had had extra time. We would stop by if we had extra time. Would and stop, simple present, with had in the if clause in the simple past. Okay. Now, look at exercise 23. On exercise 23, it says complete the sentences with the verbs in parentheses. Let's do number 1. Look at the if clause, look at the result clause. The result clause will help you determine what form the if clause is going to be. And over here, the if clause verbs are going to help you determine what form the result clause verbs are going to be. If I blank time, I will go with you. Will go. So it's okay, this is real in the present future. So if I, simple present, if I have time. Okay, look at B. If I blank time, I would go with you. Look at the result clause. Would go. So this is would in the simple form of the verb. So you're saying, okay, this is unreal in the present future. So if I, simple past, had time, I would go with you. Letter C. If I blank time, I would have gone with you. Would have gone with you. Okay? So look at would have and then the past participle. So you say past perfect. If I had had time, I would have gone with you. Okay? Now, look at number 2. If the weather were nice today, here's simple past, we would go to the zoo. Would, and then simple present. Simple form, would go to the zoo. If the weather had been nice yesterday, so it's okay, this is past perfect. Had been. Okay? If the weather had been nice yesterday, we would have gone to the zoo. And if the weather is nice tomorrow, so say is, simple present. We, since we're talking about tomorrow, will go to the zoo. Now your homework is to do number 3 on page 436, A, B, and C. And also I want you to do exercise 24, numbers 1 through 8. And we're going to check those. I'm going to go over the answers at the beginning of the Zoom session for Wednesday. Okay? So make sure that you complete number 3 from exercise 23, and then number 4, numbers 1 through 8. And be ready because I'm just going to go over the answers, okay? Another thing, study chart 20-1 on page 427. That's going to be our best friend, okay? Because it will give you the explanations for the verb forms in the if clauses and the result clauses, okay? Or real in the present, real in the future, unreal in the present future, and unreal in the past, okay? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe, stay healthy.